You know that feeling. It's Saturday morning. The alarm didn't wake you up. Nobody expects you anywhere. For the first time all week, the day actually belongs to you. Or at least, that's what you tell yourself. You stay in bed for another minute. Maybe two. The house is quiet. The coffee hasn't finished brewing yet. Outside, the neighborhood feels slower than usual. This is exactly what you've been waiting for since Monday. Then your phone lights up. You don't even think about it. You just reach for it. One notification. Then another. An email you weren't expecting. A reminder about groceries. A friend asking if you're free next weekend. Someone in the family group chat already making plans. 5 minutes pass. Then 10. By the time your coffee is ready, your mind is already somewhere else. And somehow, before the weekend has even begun, it already feels like it's ending. What's strange is that almost every adult knows this feeling. You wait all week for 2 days that somehow disappear before they ever feel like yours. By Sunday evening, you're not wondering where the weekend went. You're wondering why you don't feel any different. You rested, didn't you? You stayed home, caught up on chores, maybe even watched a movie. So why does Monday still feel like it's been waiting for you all along? If you've ever wondered that, this video might explain something you've been feeling for years without ever having words for it. But before we continue, if you enjoy exploring the hidden psychology behind ordinary moments that almost everyone experiences, consider subscribing. Every week we uncover why the mind quietly works the way it does. Here's the interesting part. Most people think weekends stopped feeling free because adulthood became busier. That's true. Just not in the way most people imagine. Because the biggest thing stealing your weekend probably isn't your schedule. It's something you can't actually see. Imagine leaving the office on Friday. You shut your laptop, turn off the lights, lock the door. From the outside, work is over. But then you're driving home and suddenly you remember something. Did I send that file? I should probably answer that email. I forgot to message Sarah. I need to prepare for Monday. Nothing happened. Nobody called you. Nobody asked anything from you. Your brain simply continued the conversation without you. It's almost like part of your mind forgot to leave the office. Psychologists have been studying this for decades. One of the most fascinating discoveries is something called the Zeigarnik effect. The idea is surprisingly simple. Finished tasks tend to leave us alone. Unfinished ones don't. They keep quietly knocking on the door of your attention. Not because your brain enjoys stressing you out. Because unfinished things were never designed to be forgotten. Your brain treats them like open taps. One isn't a problem. Neither are three. But after 20, everything starts feeling slower, heavier, noisier. Which explains something that seems completely unrelated. Why sitting on the couch can sometimes feel almost as mentally exhausting as sitting at your desk. Not because relaxing is difficult. Because your attention never actually arrived. Your body came home. Part of your mind didn't. And once you notice that, something else becomes impossible to ignore. Maybe work isn't following us home because we're working longer. Maybe it's following us home because modern life never tells our brains that work is actually over. When we were kids, work and freedom had very clear borders. The last school bell rang. Everyone rushed outside. Your backpack hit the floor the second you got home. And just like that, the day changed. Nobody had to tell your brain it was time to relax. It already knew. There was a ritual. A transition. One chapter ended before the next one began. Adults rarely get that anymore. You close your laptop, then check Slack one last time. You leave the office, but answer a message in the elevator. You make dinner, while mentally rewriting a conversation you had at 3 o'clock. Nothing dramatic happened. There wasn't some huge interruption. Just dozens of tiny ones. And that's the problem. Your brain doesn't measure stress only by how intense something is. It also measures how often your attention gets pulled away. Researchers call part of this attention residue. Every time you move from one task to another, a small piece of your attention stays behind. Think of it like walking across wet paint. Every step leaves a footprint somewhere else. By Saturday morning, little pieces of your attention are still scattered across Friday. One piece is sitting in your inbox. Another is replaying a meeting. Another is already worrying about Monday. Which means something strange happens. Your weekend begins. But your mind never fully arrives. And once that becomes your normal, rest starts feeling surprisingly uncomfortable. Have you ever noticed how difficult it is to do nothing? Not scrolling. Not cleaning. Not organizing. Literally nothing. Sit on the couch for 10 minutes without reaching for your phone. It sounds easy. Most people can't do it. Not because they're lazy. Because they're conditioned. Somewhere along the way, many of us quietly learned that our value comes from being useful, being efficient, being productive, being busy. So when there's finally nothing demanding our attention, our brain creates something. A closet that suddenly needs organizing. An email that can probably wait until Monday. A kitchen counter that somehow becomes urgent. We tell ourselves we're just being responsible. Sometimes we are. But sometimes, we're simply uncomfortable with stillness. The strange part is that children almost never have this problem. A child can spend half an hour watching ants cross a sidewalk, and somehow call it an amazing afternoon. Not because children are better at relaxing. Because they haven't learned to measure every moment by its productivity. They aren't asking, is this a good use of my time? They're asking, is this interesting? That's a completely different way of experiencing life. And it changes everything. Because attention follows curiosity. Adults often ask what needs to be finished. Children ask what might happen next. One question creates pressure. The other creates presence. Maybe that's why childhood Saturdays felt so much bigger. Not because they contain more hours, but because those hours belonged completely to the moment you were living. No invisible countdown. No constant planning. No feeling that tomorrow was already reaching into today. Before we keep going, I'm curious. What steals your weekends the most? Work? Your phone? Household chores? Or is it something else entirely? Leave a comment below. I read as many as I can, and I genuinely love to hear your experience. And if you're enjoying this video, leaving a like really helps more people discover it. But there's one modern habit that quietly steals more weekends than almost anything else. And the strange part is, most of us mistake it for relaxation. It usually starts the same way. You sit down for just a few minutes. Maybe after lunch. Maybe while your coffee is still warm. You unlock your phone without even thinking about it. One video. One post. One headline. One message. Then another. And another. 40 minutes disappear so quietly that they almost don't feel real. When you finally put the phone down, something feels off. You weren't working. But you don't feel rested either. Why? Because your brain doesn't recover simply because your body stops moving. It recovers when your attention finally gets a chance to settle. Modern life rarely allows that. Every notification is a tiny interruption. Every scroll is another decision. Keep watching? Reply now. Save this? Ignore it? Read the comments? Share it? None of those choices feel important. But together, they slowly exhaust the same mental energy you were hoping to recover. That's why someone can spend an entire Sunday doing almost nothing and still feel strangely tired. Not physically, mentally. Because attention is expensive. We just don't notice the cost until the weekend is over. There's another reason this happens. Social media quietly changes what we expect a weekend should look like. You see someone hiking through the mountains. Someone else is traveling across Europe. Someone renovated their kitchen. Another person woke up at 5 in the morning, finished a workout, meal prepped for the week, read 3 chapters of a book, and somehow still looked perfectly relaxed. Then you look around your own living room. The laundry basket is still there. The dishes are still in the sink. And suddenly your completely normal weekend starts feeling like it isn't enough. Nothing about your day actually changed. Only the comparison did. Psychologists have known for years that satisfaction isn't created only by our experiences. It's also shaped by the experiences we believe everyone else is having. Deep down, you know social media only shows the highlights. But your nervous system doesn't compare reality to reality. It compares your ordinary afternoon to someone else's carefully edited best moments. And without realizing it, your weekend gains one more invisible responsibility. Trying to feel like you're spending it correctly. Maybe that's why so many people finish the weekend feeling disappointed. Not because they wasted it. Because they never allowed themselves to simply live it. Which brings us to the biggest misunderstanding of all. Most people think freedom means having more time. But that's never really been true. You've probably had days where you were incredibly busy, yet somehow felt completely alive. And you've probably had entire weekends with nothing planned that felt empty. So maybe freedom isn't measured by how much time you have. Maybe it's measured by who owns your attention. Think about taking a slow walk without your phone. No destination. No podcast. No checking the time. Just walking. Nothing extraordinary happens. Yet somehow, you feel lighter afterward. Not because the walk solved your problems. Because for 20 minutes, your attention finally belonged to you again. Maybe that's what we've been missing. Not longer weekends. Not easier lives. Just moments that aren't being pulled in 10 different directions at once. The encouraging part is that psychology suggests this feeling can be rebuilt. Not by escaping your responsibilities, but by protecting your attention. Try creating one small ritual that tells your brain the workweek is over. Take a walk before opening another screen. Drink your coffee without reaching for your phone. Leave 1 hour of your weekend completely unplanned. Not because doing nothing is productive, but because your mind deserves moments where it doesn't have to perform. Maybe weekends didn't become shorter. Maybe they became crowded. Not with hours, but with expectations. And maybe freedom was never about having 2 days off. Maybe it was about having a few moments where your mind finally believed nothing was chasing you. If this video resonated with you, let me know in the comments what part felt the most familiar. And if you found it meaningful, don't forget to leave a like. It helps this channel reach more people who might need these ideas. Thanks for watching. And if you'd like to understand more of the hidden psychology behind everyday life, click the video that's on your screen right now. I think you'll enjoy where it takes you next.